People mistake danger for violence, but true danger is presence. The kind that unsettles without needing to raise a hand. The hitmen didn't see weakness in your eyes. They saw calculation. They didn't see desperation, they saw control. And control terrifies those who rely on chaos. They recognized what ordinary people miss. You don't react like prey. You don't flinch, you don't beg. You don't dance to the illusions others craft. That calmness makes you lethal in a world addicted to panic. Danger is not in what you do, but in what you refuse to do. You don't lower yourself to arguments designed to bait you. You don't waste energy proving your worth to people who never mattered. You don't collapse when they strip away approval, because approval has no weight in your life anymore. This refusal to bend gives you an aura that unsettles manipulators. To them, your composure feels like defiance. To you, it's simply discipline. That difference is what makes you dangerous. Discipline is the ultimate weapon because it doesn't announce itself. It waits, it sharpens. And when it strikes, the entire room feels it. The photo they passed around told no story, yet it revealed everything. Eyes betray endurance. Posture betrays strength. Silence betrays certainty. They thought you'd look ordinary, but the image carried something heavier, an individual untouchable by fear. The hitmen were trained to spot weakness, to read hesitation in body language, to study expressions for vulnerability. Instead, they saw someone who looked back at life with no apology. Someone who could stand in a storm without breaking stride. They knew better than to mistake stillness for softness. They saw that your stillness was forged in battles you never spoke about. That kind of presence doesn't get erased. It lingers and it frightens. People try to make danger synonymous with recklessness. But what they don't realize is that the most dangerous ones are often the most deliberate. You became dangerous not because you wanted to be feared, but because you refused to be controlled. Every betrayal sharpened your focus. Every disappointment carved away illusion. Every attempt to break you became training. While they wanted you to crumble, you turned their weapons into lessons. That alchemy of pain into strategy, of wounds into wisdom, is why they see you now as a threat. You're no longer predictable. Predictability is safety. You outgrew it, and that alone is dangerous. The psychology is brutal but clear. Humans fear what they cannot categorize. They rely on labels to feel safe. If you're predictable, you're manageable. If you're emotional, you're exploitable. If you're loud, you're readable. But when you're detached, when you're calm, when you're composed, you erase their categories. That absence of predictability unsettles even the ruthless. The hitman looked at your photo and saw someone they couldn't measure. Someone who wouldn't play by expected rules. And unpredictability is more dangerous than any weapon. It means they can't control how you'll respond. It means you've already won before they move. In relationships, your danger is not that you intimidate people. It's that you don't collapse when love becomes manipulation. Many depend on emotional chaos to anchor control. They try to bait guilt or silence you into obedience. But you learn to rise above that. You learn that silence can be louder than shouting, that walking away can be sharper than confrontation. They realize too late that they cannot keep someone who does not need them. That independence makes you dangerous because it makes you immune to their tactics. A person who doesn't fear losing is a person who cannot be chained. In society, your danger lies in your refusal to chase illusions. You don't need to perform to be accepted. You don't need to chase the middle of the crowd to feel safe. You've accepted isolation when necessary, and isolation is terrifying to those who survive only in herds. Your willingness to walk alone makes others question themselves. It makes them wonder what you know that they don't. And that question itself is unsettling because it exposes their fragility. People who are enslaved to appearances always fear the ones who no longer bow to them. They sense your independence, and independence to them looks like rebellion. The truth is that you are dangerous because you've learned control over yourself. A person who cannot master themselves will always be at the mercy of others. You mastered your reactions. You trained your patience. You aligned your actions with purpose instead of impulse. That mastery radiates without you saying a word. It's why people hesitate before lying to you. It's why manipulators stutter when they sense you aren't buying their performance. It's why the hitmen said no. They saw not just a target. They saw someone untouchable by fear, someone too grounded to be played with. Your presence carries weight because it is born of scars, not masks. They thought scars would weaken you. Instead, they armored you. They thought silence meant you had no answers. Instead, silence meant you were studying theirs. They thought betrayal would make you bitter. Instead, it made you calculated. That transformation is what earned you the title of dangerous without you ever asking for it. They wanted you broken, yet your resilience now hangs over them like a shadow. The stronger you became, the weaker they looked, and they know it. That recognition is why even killers hesitate. The desperate want to keep you tangled, because tangling you keeps them relevant. If you are caught in their loops of guilt, chaos, and confusion, you cannot move forward. They thrive on distraction. They create webs out of backhanded compliments, half-truths, sudden silences, and staged dramas, all designed to pull your focus away from your growth and back toward them. They are terrified of what happens if you stop paying attention. For them, control is not optional, it is survival. And they know the moment you stop reacting, their relevance collapses. Tangling you is not about love, not about care, not even about connection. It is about avoiding the emptiness they would be left with if you finally walked free. You notice the pattern once you step outside of it. Their sudden outbursts only follow when you distance yourself. Their kindness shows up only after their cruelty has pushed you away. Their apologies arrive not from remorse, but from fear of abandonment. They are desperate to keep you locked in cycles where you keep questioning yourself. They want you doubting your memory, replaying every conversation, searching for proof that you are the problem. When you are tangled, you are too busy defending yourself to see the truth. And the truth is simple. They fear the strength you gain when you no longer engage. Untangling yourself is the threat they cannot handle, because once you escape, they cannot drag you back. The desperate will dangle love as bait, but their love is not steady. It is conditional. They shower you with affection when you obey, withdraw it when you resist. This push and pull is their strongest weapon, because inconsistency destabilizes even the strongest mind. You crave the high points, so you endure the low ones. That craving is the string they pull to keep you tangled. But when you finally see through the illusion, you realize love does not require endless negotiation of your worth. Love does not punish you for boundaries. Their love was never love, it was leverage. Once you stop chasing their crumbs, the whole structure collapses, and in that collapse, their desperation becomes visible. Friendships are no different. The desperate cling to you by weaving gossip, envy, and obligation into chains. They remind you of what they've done for you, but conveniently forget what you've done for them. They drop hints about betrayal or abandonment just to test your loyalty. They want you tangled in the fear of being called disloyal, because if you fear that label, you'll stay. But desperation cannot coexist with genuine connection. Real friends don't need to entangle you to prove their place. The moment you call out the manipulation, the mask falls. And when you detach, they panic. Because without your attention, their identity feels smaller, weaker, less certain. Work environments also expose this truth. Desperate colleagues try to trap you in office politics. They want you tangled in rumors, in power games, in endless comparisons, so you don't have space to rise above. They measure themselves against you constantly, and the only way they feel secure is by pulling you into the mud with them. But when you choose clarity over competition, you become untouchable. You focus on results, not noise. You detach from games, and their desperation becomes embarrassing, because everyone eventually sees the difference between steady progress and tangled drama. The workplace rewards endurance, and desperation never endures. It only exhausts itself. The psychology behind their behavior is clear. Desperation is born from insecurity. They know they cannot stand on their own, so they anchor themselves by keeping you caught. If you are trapped, they don't have to face their weakness. If you are tangled, they don't have to admit they fear abandonment. But psychology also reveals the key. Detachment severs the chain. By refusing to engage in their spirals, by refusing to justify what doesn't need justification, you make their tactics useless. They feed on your reaction. No reaction means no fuel. No fuel means the structure falls apart. Their desperation is not evidence of love. It is evidence of dependence. The tangled want to convince you that freedom is selfish. They whisper that walking away makes you cold, that detachment means you lack heart. But that is another tactic. They know once you choose clarity, you cannot be controlled. They know once you stop apologizing for your peace, they cannot drag you back into the storm. You are not selfish for refusing to be tangled. You are strategic. You are protecting your time, your energy, your purpose. And protecting those things unsettles them, because it proves they never owned you the way they believed. Every boundary you build is another thread cut. Every silence you hold is another weapon sharpened. In relationships of love or loyalty, desperation often comes dressed as sacrifice. They tell you they've given everything, so you owe them your presence. But real giving doesn't demand repayment. Real sacrifice does not hold you hostage. The desperate keep score, and that scorecard is their rope to bind you. Yet when you rise with logic, you see through it. You realize no one who truly values you needs to chain you. They only need to stand with you. Their desperation to keep you tangled reveals that they never valued you. They valued the control they thought they had over you. And losing that control is what breaks them. Your greatest defense against the tangled is your calm refusal to play. You don't need to shout or accuse or argue. You don't need to justify your choices. You only need to stay composed, and your composure burns through their desperation like fire through paper. The less you respond, the more frantic they become. The more frantic they become, the more obvious their fragility is. That cycle doesn't end because you win. It ends because they exhaust themselves trying to hold you while you remain untouched. Untangling is not about escaping them. It is about reclaiming yourself. The truth is that you are dangerous because you've learned control over yourself. Most people cannot last a day without spilling their emotions into the hands of others. They rant, they lash out, they overshare, they plead. Every outburst becomes a weapon for someone else to use against them. But you train differently. You stopped letting impulses dictate your steps. You paused before reacting, you observed before answering. You built walls where others left doors wide open. That control turned you into someone people cannot easily read, and unreadable is the language of danger. They don't know if you'll strike, if you'll walk away, or if you've already outmaneuvered them in silence. The uncertainty keeps them on edge. Self-control is sharper than any blade. Anyone can explode in anger. Anyone can threaten. But it takes ruthless discipline to sit with rage and not let it leak into reckless action.